Welcome here to Askeaton Franciscan Friary. It's a beautiful day today. My name is Anthony Sheehy. I'm the official tour guide here in this town for the last 58 years.
58?
58.
My goodness.
How I got involved in tourism, I'm the eldest of 10 in my family, and one of my sisters died in 1964. She died from kidney complaints. And she's buried in the Franciscan Friary here. I would come down here ever so often to say a prayer like the rest of the family.
Yes.
And walking out, I'd meet people like yourself, asking questions. And I'm doing tours ever since. But I love it. I was a butcher by trade, and a good one at that.
Well, can I tell you, many is the time people from West Limerick, East Limerick, Limerick City, North Cork, West Kerry, South Kerry, North Kerry converged on you for one big, huge item, and that was?
Black pudding.
Oh my God, that's the black pudding. You would never ever taste the like of it since.
That's not recorded now, is it?
It is. But listen, I suppose you'd never go back again, would you?
No. But, maybe I didn't realise this now. Maybe that part of it should be deleted. We're talking here about the history.
No, that's lovely. It's lovely. It's lovely because you know why? It shows the character and the man of the town. And what I want to do is, and congratulations to you, Anthony, because you received a very, very welcome award from the Limerick City and County Council. Just take it up there actually, because it recognises you and the years of 58 years as a volunteer as a tour guide here and promoting the town, and which is an example to every town across the country. Tourism is the key point.
Absolutely.
Volunteers, the tidy towns, the tour guides, all of that are so essential to the lifeblood of every town. And well done and congratulations from all of us.
Okay, thank you, John.
You know, well done. And you haven't aged since 58 years at all, by the way, Anthony.
Well, I tell you something now. As regards age, thank you very much, John. I don't believe it myself, but I'm 81 years of age.
You do not look, and 81 is not old, but 81 you don't look. You look maybe 65, 70.
Well, thank you very much indeed.
Fantastic, Anthony. Well done.
But I tell you, I keep myself reasonably fit because I swim in our local pool here 5 mornings a week.
You do, yeah. You're
and
known
I think
for.
if you keep yourself exercised, it's good for the mind and good for the body.
Yes, yeah.
And that's why I go swimming every morning, because I knew, John, you were coming today,
Yes.
and I wanted to feel that I would be able to talk to you.
You needed every bit of energy dealing with a character like myself. I think
Anyway.
the Franciscan monks would agree with you as well. But
So-
this is an incredible building here.
This Franciscan Friary, John, was founded by the 4th Earl of Desmond, Gerald the Poet, in 1389.
1389.
It was completely built here by 1440, and the community were gone here by 1714 on account of religious persecution from King Henry VIII. On the 24th of August 2014, I had a big celebration here. I had 150 people here and 9 monks, because it was the 3rd centenary of the departure of the Franciscans.
And that was sad though, wasn't
And
it,
that
to
was
see
sad.
them go?
So the situation is this, they built it here alongside the River Deal, which flows into the River Shannon, and it's a tidal river. And the reason that they built alongside the River Deal, in my opinion, would be that they could trade, they could go fishing, and they could bring home seaweed, which was very important for their gardens. So that's basically why they would have done that, in my opinion. What we have here is another plaque here, by the way. On Sunday the 12th of September 1982, the Franciscans in Limerick City paid their historical connections to Askeaton by celebrating Mass here in Askeaton. And we had a big crowd here in Askeaton within the church, and it was absolutely brilliant.
Lovely.
Absolutely brilliant.
Lovely commemoration.
Fantastic, I
Yes,
tell you,
yeah.
you know. So the next thing we're going to do now, John, if it's okay with you, we'll enter into the Franciscan Friary here.
Okay.
And we'll go into the kitchen area,
Yes.
and I will explain a little bit how they form the ceilings, the floors, the doors, the windows, and the baking of bread in medieval times.
Fantastic.
And maybe the monks might have a bit of bread for us, and maybe a cup of coffee.
Well, do you know what?
There's the last that have gone out the door there now.
Look, I just saw him there now. He skipped out. He knew I was coming anyway. You know, you're well known, I'm not. But the thing is, though, that I remember visiting here a while back with you and Billy Maguire, and the amount of history, the connections to Christopher Columbus, the connections to everybody. from here. It's mind-boggling.
Absolutely, because as I say, you're in the oldest town in Limerick City and County.
Yes.
And if you take what we have here in Askeaton as regards historical ruins, we've our Desmond Castle, which was built in 1199, and it was completely finished by Oliver Cromwell forces in 1652. You have the Hellfire Club, which is a gentleman's club, and the Hellfire Club was founded in 1309.
Now, was that a Hellfire Club? Do you mind me asking? Was that just to do with the gentry playing cards or having drinks?
Yes, the Hellfire Club was a young gentleman's club.
Yes.
So there was heavy drinking, heavy gambling, orgies, little bit of black magic.
Oh, they had orgies?
Yeah.
All right.
Mockery of religion, and in the mid-19th century it became a prison or barracks. And there are two Hellfire Clubs in Ireland. There's one in a place called Killikee or Killikay in the Dublin Mountains.
That's correct, yes.
And the other one is here in Askeaton.
Right.
So the situation is this: they had no time for church or state, and the local people used to hate them. And the situation is this: they had, we'll say, a lot of these were English, Irish landlords.
Yes.
And I have all the names of those people actually. And the night of Glen, there was a connection there to the Hellfire Club in Askeaton.
I see.
And the situation is this: they drank mead, they drank whiskey, and all that type of stuff, you know. And the ladies of the night used to come there as well. And when they came to entertain, when the entertainment was over, they were taken upstairs. They were either murdered or drowned because they couldn't keep their mouth closed. So there was one lady on a photograph in the 1740s where there was one lady amongst these so-called gentlemen. Her name was Celinda Blennerhassett. She was a Dutch lady. So she was an entertainer. And she lasted the course for many, many years because her husband was also a member.
Ah, I see, yeah. Family connections.
Family connections, yes, indeed.
Lovely.
So now
okay,
we're going
I'll
to-
follow you.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you, Anthony. It's just an absolute spectacular building. And the ruins are just incredible. Now, this is where now, Anthony?
Yes, this is the kitchen area.
Fine kitchen. I see.
When you come up here, it's going to give you information.
All right. Look at that.
So I'm going to start talking about the windows
Yes.
here.
Okay.
The windows here had no glass, but animal skin.
I
So
see.
when they had timber shuttering fitted into those angles.
Yes.
And on the outside there's a piece of animal skin, the width and the height of that window. And that was pinned onto the outside facing the weather. And with the hair shaven off, it was transparent. It allowed the light through, but kept out wind and rain.
With him.
And if they weren't happy
Engineers.
with it, if they weren't happy with it 2 years or 10 years, it was a lot cheaper to replace animal skin than to replace glass, which is so expensive.
I see. Yes.
So now I'm going to talk about the fireplace
Wow, look at
and
that.
the oven, the square at the back.
Yes. My goodness.
You might have heard of a saying, John, the upper crust.
Yes, definitely.
Now, the upper crust would be associated with people of wealth. If somebody in
right.
this town bought a new car or a new house,
Yes.
they had the money, they were the millionaires, they were the upper crust.
I see.
And
yes.
that expression came from the baking of bread in medieval times, and now I'm going to tell you.
Right.
When the fire was started here, the water and ashes from the fire were distributed into the oven.
Okay.
They would have used a shovel, they wouldn't crossing the fire, and they would lay it inside on the oven. Now, the bread was in the shape of a pizza or pancake, it was flat, and that was put on a shovel before it was baked, and it was laid on the water and ashes till it baked.
Right.
So when baked, it was taken out from the oven. Because it was baked on those ashes, the bottom part was soiled and burnt. So the monks did not want to eat that part, so they would say, may I have the upper crust, please.
Ah, right.
And
Now
the
I
bottom,
get
yeah,
you.
And the bottom part of that bread which was soiled was never wasted, that was given to the poor people.
Right. But To them, that was the upper crust.
Yes.
Exactly.
So I mean,
and nourishment.
So upper crust. Now we know.
Right.
A lot of people wouldn't have known that.
No, I didn't know it. I
Okay,
did not know
we
it.
can all learn something new.
We can. Yes, I'm learning something. Definitely.
I'm telling you now about the mortar on the ceiling.
Yes.
You have horizontal lines and you have vertical lines.
Mm-hmm.
So when they were building these arches to the required height, they used templates of wood about 2 feet apart. Very strong and sturdy. So when they got to the required height, they did these interwoven mats made of hazel branches and willow branches.
I see.
There was a reason for this design, because you have horizontal lines and you have vertical lines. And why? These places would have been very cold in medieval times, and you would have lots of condensation here. So if those ceilings were smooth, with the condensation that formed here, it would have fallen on your head like droplets of rain.
I see what you
But
mean.
with that design, the condensation came down vertical, horizontal, vertical, horizontal. It flowed down the walls slowly but surely. And the walls were plastered with lime, sand and water. But it never came to the floors because with the fires it evaporated.
My God.
The other reason for this design was to drown out the echo. Echo! You would have less
Nothing.
echo with that design. It cooled it
They're
down.
like the present day retrofit in many ways.
Yes,
Keeping out dampness,
yes,
keeping in the heat,
yes.
all of it. And fantastic people.
Unbelievable.
We can learn so much from these great people.
We can indeed.
And we should.
So now, John, I'm going to talk to you about the floors in medieval times.
Okay?
The floors were dirt or earthen floors.
I see, yes.
Their first technology of a floor was a cobblestone floor. They had a mixture of straw, earth and water mixed like cement. They put lots of that on the earthen floor. They put in these stones vertical. They interlaced each stone with the reeds from the river bank to keep them together. So the more walking they did, the smoother it got. Their second technology of a floor were the flagstones like the tiles in your kitchen. So prior to this new technology of theirs, these floors in medieval times were just dirt and earthen floors. And during the course of the summer months, these floors had a sour smell from them because they were treading on these
Yes.
all the time. There was water maybe spilt in it and everything else. So to generate a little bit of perfume onto those floors, they would go out to the countryside during the month of July. And they would pick bunches and bunches of a flower called meadowsweet.
Oh, bittersweet, yes.
Meadowsweet, I only saw it there recently. Meadowsweet, by the way, grows in very poor soil. But it grows about 1 metre in height, and it has a lovely flower with a fantastic aroma from those flowers. And also, I believe, it has also medical cures. So the monks knew what they were doing.
Certainly
But they must
did.
find out what the medical cures were.
Yes.
Because, I mean, if they live for so long, you know, we could take some of those medical cures from the...
But there we can learn from the past.
That's the point.
That's the whole
That's the
thing,
point.
you know?
So anyway, the situation, they would leave those there on the floors until they decayed.
Yeah, I
and
see.
then they would throw them out. So now, can you picture the monks baking the bread here early in the morning? A lovely smell from the bread. And now I'm sure we'll call you John, Brother John.
Oh, yes.
Well, okay.
But I was called Brother John
Yeah.
in the seminary.
Okay, yeah.
But I can relate to this because I'm not I'm just saying this a matter of course. But I joined as a novice,
Okay, yeah.
the novitiate in the Legions of Christ in Dublin. And I did 2 years there and 1 year in their college in Salamanca in Spain. But God bless us, I remember. I think they threw me out eventually because I couldn't keep the commandments. I could not keep temporary silence and absolute silence.
Okay.
So absolute silence was from 8 o'clock in the evening until 8 o'clock the following morning. If you were spoken to,
Yes.
that's only when you were allowed to speak. But sure, I was dossing. I was doing everything. But I remember having to get up at 5 o'clock, winter and summer,
Yes.
take a cold shower, then go to Mass. And the hardest thing of all after that, before you had even a morsel of food in your stomach, was meditation for 1 hour.
Yes.
And I used to continually fall off the chair in the room, kneeling down, hitting my head off the wall with tiredness. So look, it wasn't for
It wasn't
me.
easy.
It wasn't. It was a hard life.
Oh, I'd say so.
A very, very hard life. You
So
know.
anyway, the situation was this, that I said to you there that the flowers were left on the floors.
That's
until they
correct,
decayed.
yes.
And I'm sure Brother John and Brother Anthony wouldn't have a chat with each other.
No,
There was no way in the world that would happen.
no.
The doors then were heavily laden oak doors.
Yes. For a good reason, I'm sure.
You know, I tell you, This, by the way, is the hinge of a door.
Wow, look at this, that for a hinge.
So there was an iron bar that fitted into that hinge. And you know what that's called?
No,
It's called a hanging eye.
a hanging eye.
Hanging eye. And at the bottom you had another iron bar, and that was called a spud stone, meaning a potato stone. Hanging eye and spud stone. Now I had people here recently from what you call it, Thomond Historical Society.
Oh yes, in Limerick.
And I was
Yeah.
giving this information. I'd say 99% of them didn't know about
No,
it.
no, never heard of it.
So that's what you had here.
Yes.
Can
Right.
we walk over here, Nick?
Okay, fascinating. So we'll just continue our tour here with Anthony. So now I remember something about this.
So out there was the kitchen garden, so there was
Yes.
all the fruit and veg in here.
Mm-hmm.
And that ruin that you see there in the distance,
Yes.
that was a church.
Oh, I see.
And
Yeah.
it was much bigger, and that had a straw roof, and that was burned down on Wednesday evening, 7:30 on the 10th of March 1847. And I think it was also maybe a hospice at one stage as well. Because if some would say people that had disease, they were always kept a distance
A
away.
distance away from
So that's
living
what you had over
quarters.
here.
My goodness. Any particular reason why it was burned down, Anthony?
Well, because for the simple reason, the big building, the ruin that we saw coming in,
Yeah.
that was John Norris Russell's flour mill. And that flour mill was built in 1796, and it was burned down, as I say, on Wednesday evening, 7:30 on the 10th of March 1847, because combustion from the flour ignited. And a spark from that building fell on that building right across there. That's what happened.
Simple.
yeah.
Simple.
So
Spark.
that's all I have to say here, and now
Yes.
we're going into the cloisters.
Okay, very good. This is the part I love, the cloisters. Brings back a lot of memories, Anthony. But Anthony, you yourself probably have learned over 58 years so much extra history, additional history.
Well, it's amazing what I have found out.
Yes.
And I don't read. No, believe it or believe it not. But I suppose, to be honest about it, I suppose you get a lot of information on television and all that.
Yes.
No.
Yeah, but you absorbed all the information.
Well, I did, because if you like what you're doing, it's not a job.
It's
at
a
all.
labour of love. I know that feeling myself.
I'm just a volunteer.
Yes.
I'm the only fool in Ireland.
No, well, I'll tell you what, you're a qualified fool if that's the case. Now, this is where the monks would have actually prayed
Yes.
in silence.
Yeah. So we're now in the cloisters. The cloister area here. This is the covered passageway where the monks will walk around, pray and meditate. And it's built around a square. Total measurement of this square here is 204 feet, 51 feet by 4. These cloisters, these are some of the best complete cloisters in all of Ireland and the United Kingdom. They came in block form from Cannon Island in Clare. And when they were brought here, they were carved into what we're looking at today.
Handmade, literally.
And they had their chisels, they were unbelievable. They were unbelievable.
They were
When you
everything.
think about it.
Mathematicians,
Yeah.
gardeners, medical people.
Absolutely. They were
the whole
they were self
sufficient.
sufficient.
Yes,
That's the
yes.
word, yes. So in there was just a plain lawn. It could have been a herb garden, flower garden,
Yes.
or fruit garden. So the monks religiously had to walk around here, pray and meditate. Those windows overhead were the dormitories, sleeping quarters at both sides of the cloisters overhead.
I see.
And you can also see, by the way, what I'm pointing, that timber structure or canopy.
I see
overhead.
it. I see it there. Yep.
Well, now that was only erected there about maybe 15 years ago by OPW, Office of Public Works.
Yes.
Because they're protecting a fresco, which we can't see. We're not allowed to walk up there on account of health and safety.
Of course.
Health and safety is a huge problem in Ireland, as you know.
Oh,
yourself.
well, it's big everywhere now.
So the situation is this: the plaster up there would be lime, sand, and water, and there are 2 halos imprinted onto the plaster. It kind of has a reddish tinge. In actual fact, if we were able to go up there and see that, John would say to me, Anthony, what are you looking at? But there are 2 outlines of 2 halos, and the experts of today still don't know whether it is the face
What?
of Christ or of Blessed Lady. So it's now been protected from the weather.
That's fantastic. Oh, and is that great?
So
Actually, yes.
OPW erected this here, and that was with say oak. And of course oak, you see, it was black, and over time would say it blends in, if you like.
Yes.
And on the west side of that, as regards the roof, there are slates on that,
Yes. Yeah.
which came from Valentia Island in Kerry. That's where they came from. I know exactly how many tiles up there. I know exactly what it costs, but I'm not giving that information.
No.
No.
Cute.
So anyway, that's all I have to say here, and we're going around the corner.
All right. Okay. So this is where Brother John and Brother Anthony would have meditated and said prayers during the day.
Yes. And I can talk about that now in a moment, especially with when we go to show you the sundial.
Yes.
And of course, talking to you about, let's say, the novice and what the bishop told him to do. You see, this is at the top of the road here, there's a sign here, Askeaton Abbey. It's not an abbey, this is a friary. As I understand it, would say an abbey would have a abbot in it. This being a friary, it would be a bishop they would have had here, as I understand it.
Okay.
So this is what you have here. So I'm got limestone, by the way, when polished, has a marble feel or look about it. Some people say they're marble pillars, but they're not. They're limestone pillars.
Limestone. And now this carving here.
This carving that you're right now, John, this is the St. Francis of Assisi. And his face is very smooth, because legend tells us that if you suffer from a toothache, you come in here at midnight, give the statue a kiss, and your toothache disappeared. That's why his face is so smooth, John.
They kissed it.
Kissed it.
My
So
God.
I'm sure a lot of young people nowadays, if they had that ailment,
Yes.
they would come in here at midnight, but they would fail miserably to get the cure. So they wouldn't be kissing the statue at all. They'd be kissing each other.
Ah, good man. I was just about to say, but I was careful how I put it, but you couldn't have put
Yeah.
it better.
So I'm going to give you the story of St. Francis of Assisi.
Yes.
St. Francis of Assisi was born in 1182. When he was born, he was christened Giovanni di Pietro di Bernardone. His father Pietro was in the continent on business buying cloth, so when he returned, he changed his son's name to Francesco or Francis. Growing up as a young man, he had so much money on him, he just didn't know what to do with it. It seems he was a great singer and a great companion for a night out in the town. He built the first Christmas crib in Greco in December 1223. On the 11th of September 1224, he formed the first order of Grey Friars in Canterbury in Great Britain. On the 17th of September 1224, he was in Laverno, Florence, where he received the stigmata or Christ's wounds. Now ill, he did a few preaching tours before returning to Assisi. He died on the 4th of October 1226. He was canonized on the 16th of July 1228 because arrangements were being made to his honour. His body was hidden in 1230 lest it be stolen because relics were very precious. And his body was rediscovered under a pillar in the Basilica in 1818. That's the story I'm giving here for
Yes.
the last 52, 53 years. I know, Johnny, you know about it, but I just wanted to refresh your memory.
No, I'll tell you something. I knew he had the stigmata. What was it myth or something that he could talk to nature, talk to animals?
Yeah,
or
yes, he had that love for animals.
I see.
You'll often see that with the birds.
The
and all
birds,
that.
yes.
So he was a very caring individual.
My
So
God, incredible man.
that's the story I give here every day.
And look what they left behind. Geniuses.
Yeah, I mean, it's
Absolutely.
unbelievable because, I mean, this place here, was very unclean now and again. And I remember distinctly, I was getting a letter once or twice from OPW around Christmas to know was there anything that needed to be done here. So I was getting fed up with the second letter because they were doing nothing until I wrote back to them and I said, if you want to do something here, I'd like to see the Franciscan Friary cloisters and all that cleaned up. In January, not this year, 2 years ago, OPW arrived here, and they were here for 1 week, and they power washed and cleaned the whole place.
Fantastic. They did a beautiful,
and they came
fantastic
again in
job.
January of this year again,
Yes.
and I thought it was fantastic.
Well, it is.
Because we have something here.
But this is unique,
I mean,
Anthony.
this is a hidden gem.
It is a hidden gem.
That's
Yes.
what it is here. And I love what I do
incredible.
here. And like somebody said to me, you do this all the time. I do because I like it.
Yeah.
I mean, if you like something, it's not a job at
No,
all.
it's not. No.
And I like giving that information to people. And you're very lucky today now, John, because normally I don't allow anyone to record me. Never. But I'm doing it at the moment. I have a reason for doing it, as you already know yourself.
I do.
And we keep that.
Well, that's actually a state secret now.
It is, absolutely. So we walk.
Lovely, very good.
So we have, before
Yes.
we go now,
Yes, yeah.
do you think we'll say, I'm giving you more or less the tour now?
Yes, yeah.
We have an inscription here, John. I can talk about this, by the way.
Okay.
The inscription here reads, beneath lies the pilgrim's body who died January the 17th, 1784.
Yes.
This is amazing now, when I said 1784. My life surrounds a number 17. And believe it or believe it not, today is the 17th.
It is, you're right, actually.
Isn't that amazing?
It is amazing. True.
Isn't that amazing? But my life surrounds 17. But anyway, what I want to say to you here is this.
So there is an actual grave
There is, right
below
here.
here.
Yeah. The pilgrim that's buried here was a Spanish merchant ship owner. His name was Don Martinez Mendoza, and he came from Barcelona in Spain. He had one child and only daughter called Beatrice, and she got married secretly to one of his captains who was Italian. And of course the father was very annoyed about the relationship until he found out, and he was more so when he saw his daughter in the family way, so he put her into a convent where she died giving birth to a baby boy. So he swore vengeance on the Italian captain. He said no matter where in the world he would catch up with him and he would murder him. So he sold his business, and he was for the next 7 to 9 years on his trade. He sailed into Britain, he sailed into Ireland, he came to Askeaton because it was a trading port. He befriended the parish clerk, a guy by the name of Phil Rourke. He stayed in good lodgings for a few days, which was the Hellfire Club within the castle grounds. He stayed there for some days and left, and he did catch up with his Italian captain in Kildare outside Dublin, where he murdered him. So he came back to this Franciscan Friary again, stayed here for another few years, and his health started to frail. But he had heard during that time, through the grapevine, that his orphan grandson, who he never met, was now in the same business as himself. So he got word to him that he would like to meet him before he died. If not, there would be a marker or indication of where he was buried. And all he wanted his grandson was to do, if that was the situation, to dig down into his grave, where he would get a bag containing gold, sovereigns and silver. That's the story.
And there could be gold there, right where I'm standing.
Okay, the situation is this. You asked that question, and I believe some years later, the grandson did come up river on his little boat, and he saw a cabin, which we would call a little house with a light in it, knocked on the door, and the gentleman within recognised him from his grandfather and gave him the money.
Ah,
that's
right.
the story.
Very nice.
So now we're
now
coming
the
up
sundial.
To the sundial. I've been I often wonder about this sundial, but first of all, what I'm going to say is this, and this is my opinion. This sundial, by the way, is not in the centre of these two pillars, as you can see.
It's to the right of one of the pillars.
Yes, okay. So to the right, it's to the right, towards the west, if you like.
Okay.
So the point I'm making to you is this: this sundial would have been used by the monks, and would say, take a novice now.
Yes.
If a novice would say was here learning his trade, the bishop might say to him, look, go in there for an hour and pray. So the situation was this: when he had the sun, he could see, would say, he would be watching the shadow until he came for this is an hour, right?
Ah, right, yes.
So it must be very boring for him, like, you know. I suppose he might be coming back several times. Will the sun ever cover that shadow there all the time?
A couple of adjectives included.
Yeah. So I mean, you could say, he could be here from 2 o'clock to 3 o'clock.
Yes.
Or whatever. So what you have here, by the way, you have an arrow here, or an arrow pointing north.
Yes.
Now, for many, many years, I always felt that this was a Viking headdress.
And yeah, that's right. I can see the similarities.
Yeah.
You're
and
right.
also, by the way, as I understand it, scouts, Boy Scouts, would have used that design on their lapels as well. So the point about it is this: I always felt that it might also have been a longbow firing an arrow, and I can tell you here now today that that is correct. It's facing north.
North, yes.
At midday.
Okay. At midday. 12
At midday,
noon.
which is 12 noon.
12 noon.
And what you have here to the side, John, by the way, you have, I was looking for, I was trying to find out what this meant. A Roman would say lettering, if you like.
Yes.
This is the X.
Meaning 10,
One,
I think.
1. So it's 12 noon.
12.
So that's the time.
That's 12 noon.
It is. So, well, I know, have I something here now? So what I'm saying through this,
Fascinating.
yeah, the arrowhead is pointing north, as I said to you. And you have the shadow of the sundial points north at midday and is 12 o'clock or 12 o'clock. X11 or 12 o'clock.
I see.
And that's the information. Roman numerals. That's what that
Roman numerals, yes.
Yes. So that's the information
That's
there.
fantastic. So, in fact, actually,
Think about it.
when the novice was requested by the bishop
Yes.
to
Yes.
enter the chapel
Yeah.
and
Yes.
pray
Into the cloisters.
into the cloister, sorry,
Yes.
they would reckon that they would go by that sundial,
They would.
and each section was an hour.
Well, okay, I'll explain this now to you, John, right?
Okay.
Okay, this is 12 noon. We'll go this way here now. 6 o'clock in the morning, 6:30, 7, 7:30, 8, 8:30, 9, 9:30, 10, 10:30, 11, 11:30. Well, okay, it's there maybe, it's there. Oh, 1 moment now, John.
No problem. Yeah, that's okay.
1 minute now. This is 12 o'clock, right? 11:30, 11, 10:30, 10, 9:30, 9, 8:30, 8, 7:30, 7, 6:30, 6.
6.
This is there.
Yep.
6 o'clock.
That's the 6.
Right?
Yeah.
So 6 o'clock, 6:30, 7 o'clock, 7:30, 8, 9, 10, 11, midday.
Midday, 12 noon. Isn't
And
it
of
just
course,
remarkable?
and at the other side there, by the way, would be 6 in the afternoon.
In the evening there,
You
yes.
see? So I mean, like, they work that. Now, some people would often ask me, by the way, okay, if this was the sundial, what about the day that they hadn't sun? Well, you see, you have winter time and you have summertime, and there's times you have darkness at some stage or other.
Yes.
But I'm sure that the bishop wouldn't want to send your man in here if there was no sun. If you understand me.
I do.
So he could be walking around here for hours, or else maybe he had to walk around and just think to
Yes.
himself, look, I know I did 30 spaces yesterday in
Right,
an hour.
yes.
I know today I'm doing 30, and I'm sure it must be equal. Opinion.
Yeah,
Opinion.
okay.
That's only
No,
your
that's
opinion.
fine.
So that's all I have to say about this here now, by the way.
Thank you, Anthony, and thank you for your time. It's very, very valuable for people across the world who listen to this program and who view it to understand the dedication that you give. You're imparting huge historical, significant knowledge, and you have to be thanked for that and congratulated, Anthony.
I must give you another bit of information now, though.
Okay.
Right? So if we go around the side.
Yes, sure. And you know what? Even on a hot summer's day or autumn day as we have, there's a lovely chilling effect.
it is hot here. Oh,
Isn't
it's-
it lovely?
it's wide open,
It's
like,
beautiful here, yes.
So what we
Now-
have here is the map of the Friary.
Oh, very good, yes.
Askeaton Friary, and the Irish pronunciation of the English word is Monaster Askeaton, meaning Friary Askeaton spelled backwards.
See,
So how did Askeaton get its name? We've a lot of history here in our town. We've a nice Templar Tower.